During labor, I got a text, "You've lost everything now." It was from my brother. He'd sold my dream house and gone on his honeymoon. He laughed. He didn't know the house was actually, and one Instagram post would destroy him. My name is Nora Hayes, and if you had asked me a year ago what mattered most in my life, I would have told you my home. It wasn't just a house. It was the dream I fought for since I was a teenager, working 2 jobs, saving every dollar, and saying no to every easy distraction. That house in Seattle, the one with the wraparound porch and the small garden in the back, represented security, a place where I thought I would raise my family in peace. I believed I had locked that dream down forever, but I learned the hard way that nothing is safe when betrayal comes from someone you trust with your whole heart. It happened on the night my daughter was born. I was in labor, the kind that steals every ounce of breath and thought, and I was alone in that hospital room. The phone kept buzzing on the table beside me. At first I ignored it, gripping the rails of the bed and trying to breathe through the sharp waves of pain. But the buzzing wouldn't stop. Between contractions, I grabbed the phone, desperate for some comfort. Instead of encouragement or love, I saw a message from my brother, Lucas. His words were short, sharp, and cruel. "You have lost everything now." I remember staring at the screen, confused and sick with fear. Another message came seconds later, spelling it out. While I was in the hospital, Lucas had sold my house. He didn't say he was sorry. He didn't try to explain. He just sent that gloating line, and then silence. I lay there, sweating, my body shaking from pain and shock. The walls of that hospital room closed in on me, and I could hardly breathe. All I could think was, how? Why? And what would I come home to now that everything I worked for was gone? I gave birth to Jamie not long after that. She was tiny, fragile, and perfect, and the moment I held her I felt torn in two. Love for her filled me, but so did a crushing weight. How was I supposed to raise this baby without a home? How was I supposed to explain one day that her uncle, my own brother, had stolen it all while I was bringing her into the world? The days that followed were a blur. My body was weak from labor, but my mind was restless. I couldn't let it go. I went to my parents' house, where a box of papers sat toppled in the corner of the dining room. Inside, I found the sale papers, the documents showing Lucas had used his real estate license to close the deal. His name was all over it, and the buyer had wired the money straight into an account I had never seen before. On paper, it looked clean, legal, but my gut screamed that it wasn't right. I called the buyer, a quiet man who answered politely, but kept his guard up. He said he trusted Lucas and didn't want trouble. When I asked if he knew I hadn't agreed to the sale, he hung up. I called a lawyer, who looked at the papers and frowned. "It looks legitimate," he said, "but something about the timeline is off." That was the only encouragement I got, and even then, it felt like a thin thread of hope. I was drowning in anger and fear when my friend Maya showed up. Maya has been my best friend since college, a paralegal who knows the law better than anyone I trust. She saw me holding Jamie, tears on my face, and didn't waste time. She sat down with the papers, flipping through them with sharp eyes. "It's all neat," she said slowly. "Too neat." Almost like he made sure to cover every trace. Her words struck me. That was Lucas's style. He had always been charming, slick, able to talk his way out of anything. As kids, he'd been the one who lied without flinching, who made trouble and left me to pick up the pieces. But this wasn't some prank. This was my life, my child's future. I started to remember things I had brushed off before. Lucas had asked me strange questions weeks earlier about my house value, about whether I had updated my insurance, even about my schedule at the hospital. He had taken secret phone calls late at night, stepping outside with a smile he wouldn't explain. And once, I caught him meeting someone near my porch, but he laughed it off, said it was just business. I hadn't wanted to fight with him. I had trusted him. And now that trust was shredded. Maya and I began digging. We called the title company, asked for every document, every file linked to the sale. The clerk on the other end hesitated, her voice tight. Finally, she admitted there had been a video file attached to the closing record, one that had been deleted before the final handoff. She brushed it aside like it was nothing, but that detail stuck with me. Why would there be a video tied to the file? And who had deleted it? When we pushed harder, the company resisted. The buyer wanted no attention, the clerk said. It wasn't our place to ask. That only fueled my rage. Lucas had planned this. He thought he had buried every trace, sent the money overseas, and walked away clean. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had slipped through his fingers. He had always been arrogant, too sure of himself. And arrogance leaves trails. Maya kept me steady, but she wasn't alone. Detective Aaron Cole, a family friend, heard whispers of what happened and quietly reopened a few loose threads. He said nothing official, but his eyes told me he believed something foul had happened. I clung to that hope like air. Even as I rocked Jamie to sleep in a borrowed crib at my parents' house, I whispered promises into her tiny ears. I'll get her home back, I told her. I won't let him take this from us. But in the dark, I wondered if I was too late, if Lucas had won. I didn't know yet what I would find, but I was certain of one thing. He thought he had destroyed me, that his text would be the end. But it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something neither of us could stop. And deep inside me, a fire had started to burn. It was no longer just about my house. It was about truth, about betrayal, and about the cost of justice when it is dragged into the light. I was ready to fight, no matter how much it cost me. But I had no idea just how much darker things are going to get. When you grow up with someone, you think you know the limits of what they are capable of. I used to believe that about Lucas. He was my older brother, 3 years ahead of me, the one who teased me, borrowed money he never paid back, and lied when it suited him. But I never thought he would steal from me in such a brutal way. As the days passed, the betrayal sank deeper. Every time I looked at Jamie, I felt a knot in my chest. How could her own uncle throw us out into the cold for his own gain? I refused to let his betrayal become the end of my story. Maya stayed by my side, helping me make calls and draft letters. We pressed the title company again, demanding copies of their records. After several tense conversations, we learned there had been a security backup of their files. That detail came by accident, from a clerk who didn't realize we'd catch it. When we asked to see it, she clammed up. The resistance made me certain something was buried there. At night, when Jamie finally slept, I sat in the dim light, going through every scrap of paper I had. Receipts, old texts from Lucas, even emails where he pretended to be supportive about the baby. It all read differently now, full of hints I hadn't seen before. He had asked about my schedule around my due date. He had wanted to know when I expected to be in the hospital. He had been planning this for months. One afternoon, Maya and I drove across town to confront the title office in person. I had Jamie in the car seat, her tiny cries filling the air while Maya argued at the counter. The manager looked us in the eye and said the deleted video file didn't matter. Just routine, she claimed. But when I asked her directly if Lucas had been the one to delete it, she shifted in her chair. That small movement told me more than her words. We left with nothing in hand, but Maya said quietly, if there's a deleted file, we can find a way to restore it. That hope carried me forward. Meanwhile, Detective Cole reached out. He wasn't officially assigned to the case, but he had seen enough fraud to know something stank. He asked questions the lawyer hadn't asked, like where the wired money had gone. When he told me it had been moved into an overseas account, my stomach dropped. Lucas wasn't just greedy. He had made sure to hide the money where it couldn't be touched. I remember telling Cole, he thinks he's smarter than everyone else. Cole just nodded and said, that's usually their mistake. While all this was happening, Lucas sent no apology, no explanation. The only sign of him came from Rachel's social media, where photos of their honeymoon filled the screen. Beaches, drinks in their hands, captions about living the dream. It made my blood boil. He had taken my dream to buy his own. Then something happened that shifted everything. Maya came to my parents' house one evening, her laptop under her arm, eyes sharp with excitement. She said she had gone back through some old backups I had saved from years ago, the kind of digital clutter I never thought mattered. In one folder, she found something shocking. A voice memo Lucas had recorded and accidentally synced. She played it for me. His voice filled the room, laughing, almost careless. "It's easy," he said to someone I couldn't identify. "She's distracted, about to pop out that kid. I forged the papers, flipped the house, and no one will ever know. We'll be on the beach before she even figures it out." He chuckled, proud of himself, and bragged about the money waiting for him. My hands shook as I listened. It was him, my own brother, bragging about forging my signature. My heart broke all over again, but this time anger came with it. I had proof. Maya wasn't finished. She dug deeper into the same folder and found another file, this one a video. She clicked play, and there was Lucas, drunk and cocky, holding up a fake deed like it was a trophy. His words slurred but clear. "Look what I pulled off. She'll never see it coming. Rachel thinks I'm a genius. That buyer's a fool. This house is mine now." Then he laughed and took another drink. I sat frozen. This wasn't just proof. This was a confession. For a moment, I thought about calling him, screaming at him, demanding he fix what he had done. But then I remembered the text he had sent me in the hospital. "You have lost everything now." He had wanted to see me broken. If I called, he would only laugh again. Instead, I held Jamie close, feeling her small warmth against me, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg him. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of my pain. I was going to let the world see who he really was. It took me a night to gather the courage. Maya sat beside me at the kitchen table, urging me to think carefully. But the more I thought, the clearer it became. Lucas had stolen from me in the shadows, but the shadows were his weakness. He had hidden everything, believing secrecy would protect him. If I pulled the curtain back, the truth would destroy him more than I ever could. I uploaded the video to Instagram, my hands trembling as I wrote the caption, "This is my brother, Lucas Reed. While I was in labor, he forged my name and sold my home. This is his own confession. Judge for yourself." I hesitated only a second before posting. The moment it went live, I felt something lift off me. Fear, anger, shame. All of it poured out with that single action. At first, nothing happened. Then my phone began buzzing with notifications. Comments, shares, messages. People were watching. Neighbors recognized Lucas's face. Friends sent shocked replies. Strangers called him a fraud. The video spread faster than I imagined. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark with Jamie, scrolling through the growing storm. And in the middle of it all, I wondered what would happen when Lucas saw it. I had exposed him, but I hadn't destroyed him yet. That part was still to come. The morning after I posted the video, I woke up to a storm I never could have imagined. My phone was so full of messages it nearly froze. The video had traveled fast, far beyond my circle of friends. People I didn't know were tagging me, commenting, sharing. Some offered sympathy, others spat anger at Lucas, calling him a disgrace. I held Jamie in my arms, watching strangers tear apart the brother I once defended. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone. The truth had spread, and it was no longer just mine to carry. But truth is a heavy thing. Once it's out, you can't control where it goes. By afternoon, neighbors were whispering. The local community page on Facebook had my name and his plastered everywhere. The video had been reposted by a local blog that thrived on scandals. It was no longer just a family betrayal. It had become a public humiliation. Rachel, his wife, saw it before Lucas did. She messaged me from their honeymoon a single line, "Is this real?" I didn't answer. Instead, I sent her the full video file, uncut, so she could see with her own eyes. She didn't reply, but hours later, new posts appeared on her own account. Pictures of her honeymoon vanished. She deleted every photo of Lucas. By evening, I got word from Maya that the local real estate board had picked up the video. They were launching an ethics investigation. Fraud, forgery, conflict of interest. All words I had never thought I'd hear tied to my own brother. Maya explained that if they confirmed what was in the video, his license would be gone. Detective Cole reached out again, this time more direct. "I saw the video," he said. "That's evidence now. You need to keep all original files safe. Do not delete anything." He told me the district attorney's office might open a formal case. My hands trembled as he spoke, because the thought of criminal charges against my brother didn't feel like victory. It felt like something too big to take back. Lucas finally called me late that night. His number flashed across my screen, and for a second, I almost let it ring out. But I answered. His voice was no longer smug. It was sharp, panicked. Nora, what the hell did you do?
Take that down.
You don't know what you've started. I said nothing at first. The silence made him angrier. You think you've won?
You've ruined me.
Do you understand? Ruined. His words shook with fury, but underneath I heard fear. You ruined yourself, Lucas, I finally said. All I did was show the world what you already admitted. He cursed, shouted that I had no idea how much trouble I had caused, that people would come after him now. He swore I had destroyed the family. Then he hung up, leaving me with the echo of his rage. The fallout grew faster than I could keep up with. The buyer of my house, the quiet man who had ignored me before, now demanded his money back. He threatened lawsuits, furious that he had been dragged into a scandal. The bank, alerted by investigators, froze Lucas's accounts. Suddenly, the fortune he thought he had secured overseas was locked away, unreachable. Rachel finally called me 2 days later. Her voice was cold, flat, stripped of the warmth I remembered. I left him, she said. I saw everything. I can't stay married to a liar and a thief. Then she paused, and I could hear her breathing on the line. Thank you for showing me. I wish it didn't have to be this way, but I needed the truth. I didn't know what to say. All I managed was, I'm sorry. After that, Lucas disappeared from social media. The man who once flaunted his life online, who bragged about his success, went silent. His friends, the ones who had laughed at his jokes and defended him, deleted their photos with him. He became untouchable, his name a stain. Meanwhile, I found myself in a strange position. The video had given me power, but it also made me a target. Reporters called, wanting interviews. Some painted me as the brave woman who exposed a fraud. Others hinted I was cruel, airing family business in public. Strangers sent me praise and threats in the same breath. I tried to ignore it, but it wore me down. Through it all, Jamie became my anchor. Every time I looked at her small face, I remembered why I had done this. I hadn't wanted revenge for the sake of revenge. I had wanted to protect her, to make sure she didn't grow up watching lies win. The legal side moved slower. Weeks passed as investigators pieced together the trail Lucas had left behind. They traced his forged signature, pulled emails, and even subpoenaed the title company for their backups. The deleted video file, the one we had suspected, was partially recovered. It showed fragments of Lucas transferring documents late at night. That, combined with the video I posted, was enough to make the case undeniable. One night, sitting in the quiet after Jamie fell asleep, I thought about everything I had lost. My brother wasn't just gone, he was destroyed. Rachel was gone too, retreating into silence. My parents, caught in the middle, didn't know who to blame. They loved us both, but the divide was too deep. When I visited, the air was heavy, their eyes filled with questions they couldn't ask. Had I done the right thing? That question haunted me. Yes, I had saved my home. Yes, I had fought for justice.
But the cost was the wreckage of my family.
Every smile at Jamie was shadowed by that doubt. Then the court ruled. The deed was voided, the sale overturned. The judge declared the forged papers invalid.
My home was restored to me.
I stood in the living room again, Jamie in my arms, sunlight streaming through the windows I thought I'd never see again. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt hollow. Because Lucas wasn't finished. Even stripped of everything, even with his accounts frozen and his license revoked, he wasn't going quietly. Rumors swirled that he was planning to run, to escape before charges locked him in place. And I knew, deep down, that a man like him would never forgive what I had done. The storm was still gathering, and I could feel it pressing in. The truth had been my weapon, but it had also unleashed consequences I couldn't yet see. And as I held Jamie tighter, I realized this fight wasn't over. Not yet. The day the charges became official, I felt both relief and dread. fraud, forgery, and theft. That's what the papers said. Detective Cole told me Lucas would likely face prison if convicted. My first instinct was to cry, not from joy, but from the ache of knowing my brother's life had reached this point. We had grown up in the same house, shared the same meals, the same parents, and yet here we were, me holding my baby, him staring down a future behind bars. I returned to my house not long after the court restored it to me. The garden was overgrown, the porch needed paint, and boxes were stacked inside just as I'd left them before rushing to the hospital. But it was mine again. I carried Jamie through the doorway, whispering to her that this was home. This was where she belonged. I wanted to believe that stepping back inside would bring peace, but the silence of the rooms reminded me that peace is never that simple. Word of Lucas's downfall spread across Seattle. Neighbors avoided saying his name. Friends who once trusted him cut ties completely. The real estate board stripped his license, and his reputation was in ashes. Rachel followed through with separation papers, her lawyer making it clear she wanted nothing to do with him. Every piece of the life he had built on lies crumbled, one after another. But victory didn't feel clean. My parents could barely look me in the eye. They never defended what Lucas did, but I could feel their grief. They had lost their son to his own choices, and I was the one who had dragged his secrets into the light. "You did what you had to," my father said one evening, his voice heavy. "But it doesn't make it easier." My mother cried quietly beside him, torn between love and shame. I wished I could take their pain away, but truth doesn't give back what it takes. Lucas tried to reach out one last time. A letter arrived in the mail, written in his hurried scrawl. He didn't apologize. Instead, he accused me of betraying him, of destroying his life when I could have stayed silent. He wrote, "You think you've won, but you've ruined everything for all of us. We're family, and you chose strangers over me." I folded the letter and tucked it away in a drawer. I didn't respond. His words were the same as always, selfish, blind to the harm he caused. What I learned in those months is that revenge never feels the way you imagine. I thought exposing him would give me a sense of justice, of closure. But instead, it left scars. I saved my home, yes. I protected Jamie's future. But I also shattered whatever fragile bond remained in my family. My parents live with heartbreak, Rachel lives with regret, and Lucas lives with the ruin he built himself. Still, I remind myself of the truth. He made his choices. He sent that text to me in the hospital, telling me I had lost everything. He forged my name, took my house, and laughed about it. I didn't ruin him. I simply refused to let him bury me. There are nights when I sit in the living room, Jamie asleep in her crib, and I think about the cost of justice. It isn't simple, and it isn't kind. Justice takes pieces of you, even when you are right. I see the comments still floating online, some praising me for standing up, others accusing me of being cruel to my own blood. People judge what they don't understand. They didn't live in my skin. They didn't hold a newborn while reading a message that everything was gone. They don't know what it takes to fight back when you're already broken. The truth is, posting that video was both the hardest and the easiest decision of my life. Hard because it destroyed the brother I once loved. Easy because he left me no choice. If I had stayed silent, I would have lost everything: my home, my dignity, my future with my daughter. By speaking out, I lost him instead. Now I live with both the victory and the cost. I still walk the halls of the house that nearly slipped through my hands. I plant flowers in the garden, repaint the porch, and rebuild a life for Jamie and myself. I smile when she laughs, when she takes her first steps on the hardwood floors I fought to protect. She will grow up safe, and she will grow up knowing that truth matters, even when it cuts deep. As for Lucas, I don't know what his future holds. Maybe prison, maybe exile, maybe years of silence. But I know one thing. The night he told me I had lost everything, he was wrong. I lost him, yes, and I lost the illusion that family always protects you. But I did not lose myself, and I did not lose my child. I held on to the one thing he couldn't take, the truth. And in the end, that truth lit up every lie he built his life on. It left him with nothing but shadows, and it left me with the strength to stand, even in the ruins. That is the cost of justice. It doesn't return what was stolen. It doesn't heal every wound, but it shows the world what was hidden, and once the light touches it, there's no going back. So when I look at Jamie sleeping, I whisper to her again, "We're home." And though the walls echo with memories of betrayal, they also carry something stronger, survival. Because sometimes justice isn't about winning. It's about refusing to be silenced no matter the cost.